There was once a point in your life where you opened up Minecraft for the very first time, not realizing just how important this little sandbox game will one day become to you. You are young and clueless, or perhaps older and wiser, but with all of us, there is that sense of naivety. You do not truly know what you were getting yourself into. And one day, after many sessions of play, you finally do it. With the starry end sky above you and the infinite universe below you, you step back into and through the portal awaiting to come home. But you are not home. You are greeted by words. Words and dialogue in a game in which they were always absent. In a game where you least expect it. It confuses you. And at first, you are completely unsure of what exactly you're reading. And perhaps when you are young and naive, inexperienced and impatient, you skim over the lines and ultimately decide to skip over and back into your blocky reality. The words get pushed aside and forgotten, but they do not mind, because they know that one day you will return to them. You will return when the time is right. And now you are older. Life has shown you some of its true colors. You are more wary, but more patient and thoughtful too. And through the circumstances of life, your gaze meets the infinite universe again. The words return, this time grabbing your attention with its curious introduction. You decide to read further for the very first time. At first, you do not understand, but with enough time and thought, perhaps after a few more worlds, a few more reads, suddenly it all starts to make sense. Every line, every word, it clicks as though you read a reflection of your thoughts, your mind, and your spirit projected onto the screen. You see your entire perspective of the world shift and rearrange in front of you as you keep on reading, eyes eagerly darting as the words swiftly scroll by, wishing for them to slow down so you can intake every single bit of it. And you realize that the universe is alive and speaking to you through words on a screen written by a human made up of ancient stardust, looking to share their creations with the world. Just like you. How could anyone write such profound words that speak so true to the universe's secrets? Because the words are written by the universe, and read by the universe, and we are all the universe. As the human once wrote, tasting itself, talking to itself, reading its own code. The final line speaks true, and you feel as though something deeply buried within you has awoken for the very first time. The moment it clicked. I remember one of my earliest times ever beating Minecraft and going through the end credits. I don't exactly remember whether I chose to read the end poem or not, but I definitely know I was too young to ever understand it back then. I was a child, unaware of the world around me, the way it works, or even how I myself did. I didn't understand anything about life to be able to grasp the poem's meaning, but I remember reading it again years later, listening along to someone as they narrated it in a video, just after going through the portal in their world. The next few times I must have read this poem, I probably understood it a little better, but definitely not entirely. Yet, with a little bit more age and experience, I was starting to unravel it in my head, but ultimately it didn't fully click, and I forgot about it minutes later. But then, this year, I finally had the moment where it finally all made sense. As if it was magic. I came back to the video I watched a dozen times, intently listening to the person as they narrated the words, interpreted them through their voice, and put together a little story for us to follow along. I read with them, because that day, the poem finally grabbed my full attention, enough to stop what I was doing and truly listen for once. I read until tears uncontrollably streamed down my face. My eyes red and puffy as more and more tears came the further the poem continued. It was such a strong emotion that I never expected to feel from just words being read to me, but they were the most profound, meaningful, and truly loving words that I've ever read in my life. They meant more to me than anything in that moment, and I truly believe it was one of those moments in life that wholly changed me as a person. Those words, written by Julian Gough in 2011 for a voxel sandbox video game, will forever be ingrained in my head for the rest of my life. I can count on it. And I will return every so often, when life decides it's time once again to hear the poem's brilliance and be reminded of its true meaning. And over the years, the meaning for me will change. Because art is interpreted differently by all of us. Yet there is still truth in all of our narratives. So here is mine. Interpretation of life, the universe, and everything. I've never heard such words before that explained the universe like the poem did. It aligned with me in a deeply spiritual way. I believe that above the gods and the spirits, the universe is the final realm where we all reside. It's an entity that we may never fully understand, but at the same time, we are the universe. And ironically, we'll never fully understand ourselves either, will we? We don't truly grasp why we exist, or laugh, or feel, or even live, but we still do. We march on to the universe's heartbeat every second of every day, and the poem put all of that into perspective to me. Every part of it made sense.
Does it know that we love it? That the universe is kind?
I learned that the universe loves us as we love it. That the universe is everything and that we are everything. It exists around and inside us, and all of our battles we fight and love we give is within us. All of our strength and our weaknesses, our power, we hold it somewhere deep within, and it will be there for us when it's time. As we gaze into the sky and wander at the cosmos, we can feel the universe staring back at us, into us, with the same awe and wonder for us as we feel for it. And sometimes I wondered, if the universe really loves us, why can it seem so hostile and chaotic at the same time as it is beautiful and lawful? To cure it of sorrow would destroy it. The sorrow is part of its own private task. We cannot interfere. This line, in a strange way, gave me an immense amount of comfort and relief about life, about why we suffer, and those nights I spent questioning why I must suffer or why others must. Why do these things happen to us? Is it fair? What is the purpose of it all? But I realized that there is no point in asking why it must happen, because some things are better left unsaid, unheard, and unknown. If we held all knowledge, it would simply be overwhelming. We would not be able to create our own narratives because it would seem like every story has already been said. I learned that even the bad parts of life is a part of a divine structure, something we cannot grasp, but also something we should not try to. We don't fully understand this structure, why bad things happen, and I can never conceptualize it fully, nor will I try, but I still believe that there is some greater reason for it. Just as there is a reason we experience joy and warmth and comfort, everything that exists is there to serve us in one way or another. I learned that there is no battle out there that you can't win. There is nothing in this world that your strength and your will can't overcome. Even in such a chaotic, difficult existence, we will flourish, always. And keep those words close. You hold that power inside you.
Sometimes I wish to tell them, this world you take for truth is merely truth, and I wish to tell them that they are in the pain. They see so little of reality in their long dream.
This line is one part of the poem that I think will take me a lifetime to fully understand, yet I think it fits so perfectly. In life, everything we intake is filtered through our own perspective. So the words you come up with when trying to fill in these blanks may be completely different than the words I come up with. And that's what makes it beautiful. That's what makes you and I so wonderful and special. Because we are all different, even if we are somehow still all the same in so many ways. This world can be interpreted in infinite ways. We all hold different beliefs, and we all see things differently. Our differing senses and interests shape the reality we live in. And even if I believe something opposite than you believe, both realities can be true at once. We grasp so little of actual reality. We will never see the full picture. But even our little glimpse of understanding of life is still valid. Your creator may differ from mine, but both can exist at the same time. And we may still never understand how or why. Isn't that so special? To tell them how to live is to prevent them from living.
I will not tell the player how to live.
Sometimes I think about what the meaning of life is to me, and how to everyone the answer seems to be different. I still feel like I have no definite answer to what I believe is the meaning of life. But at the same time, a part of me always knew that the whole point of life is to not know for certain. If we were ever granted some sort of knowledge of a supposedly objective meaning of life, wouldn't that take away the value from living? We all live different lives for different reasons, and I think that was intentional in the universe's design, for us to never know such things, meaning being one of them. So we can create our own. And the search for an objective truth would be, in a way, meaningless, because the universe would never tell us how to live. Because to tell us how to live is to prevent us from living. And maybe you see things differently, but I think that's exactly the point of this poem, for us to interpret it the way we see fit. And maybe my words do not fit your interpretation, but again, two realities can be true at once. And who are we, as little specks of atoms in the vastness of space, to say for certain how any one of us should live? No, instead, we should simply focus on living, and let the universe take care of the rest.
And sometimes the player believes the universe has spoken through it through the zeros and ones, through the electricity of the world, through the scrolling words on the screen at the end of a dream.
This line made me think about how absurd it is for us modern humans to experience these sort of spiritual encounters, as I would call it, in a whole new way. When I read this poem, I felt like I was conceptualizing my reality in a similar fashion that our ancestors must have conceptualized thunder and storms into Thor, or war and savagery into Mars. But this was through a whole other medium, digital, something that the ancient humans could not even begin to comprehend. But if the universe can speak through nature and phenomenon and society, then it can certainly speak through electricity and code and binary too. At least, I think so. But it made me realize that even offs and ons, ones and zeros, lines of code, those are all part of the natural world. We created them, and through this new medium, humans have found a contemporary way to express our thoughts and creativity just as the ancients have, connecting us in new ways, spreading the message of the world in a whole new medium. It's fascinating and confusing and beautiful all at once. It makes me think about my personal relationship with faith and spirituality, and how it seems so contrasting and distant from my ties to the digital world and futuristic aesthetics and concepts. But even if these realities may seem so different, it is all just a part of the universe. All of it. Who are we? Once we were called the spirit of the mountain, Father Sun, Mother Moon, ancestral spirits, animal spirits, jinn, ghosts, the green man, then gods, demons, angels, poltergeists, aliens, extraterrestrials, leptons, quarks. The words change. We do not change. The poem actually describes my last point pretty perfectly. We seem to interpret the same phenomenon through different lenses throughout time. Whatever our reality is, the words we use to describe it, the way we conceptualize life and its unknowns, these terms constantly evolve. Whoever and whatever these two entities we speak to in this poem are, they have seemingly been around since the beginning of time, seen as different things by each generation of our ancestors, as gods, as ghosts, and as spirits, and even the scientific matters such as quarks that make up our vast universe. It makes me wonder, as science progresses and we learn more about our worlds, are we getting closer to the real answer of what they really are? Is there even a real answer? Or is all of it true at once? Does a truth change with us over time?
Sometimes the player dreamed it was other things, in other places. Sometimes these dreams were disturbing, sometimes very beautiful indeed.
Throughout the poem, we conceptualize our dreams as different realities. One of these dreams is actually our Minecraft worlds. As the universe described it, sometimes the player dreamed it was a miner, on a surface of a world that was flat and infinite. Sometimes these dreams are of our real lives, or of stories and other realms. I really like this interpretation that is repeated as the poem progresses. It's a way of thinking I've never seen before, but it makes each of these different dreams feel so much more real. And maybe that's why we're truly able to immerse ourselves in our games and stories and movies. We can flip through the pages of a book like it's nothing, vividly hallucinating the imagery of the words without even thinking about it. We can get so lost in a movie that we completely forget about the world around us, as if someone put blinders on us. And we empathize with the characters, we feel for them, we imagine ourselves as them. living in their world and what we would do or say. Sometimes, when I watch a movie, I feel so strongly for the characters that when they get hurt, I'll have this sensation of phantom pain in the same place on my body. It's incredibly bizarre and always freaks me out a little bit, but I think it shows our deep empathy as human beings. To truly be able to disconnect from our reality, our main dream, and fully transport our minds into other dreams. Just like actual dreams we have as we sleep. They are all that's real to us in that moment. These dreams, they are real.
Sometimes when they are deep in dreams, I want to tell them they are building true worlds in reality. Sometimes I want to tell them of their importance to the universe. Sometimes, when they have not made a true connection in a while, I want to help them to speak the word they fear.
And then I read this line and realized that yes, all of our dreams are real. Maybe not literally. Of course, we don't actually get teleported to another universe when we read a book or something, but in our minds, I think that's what makes it real. Our own weird little brains, processing and empathizing. It makes me think about the Matrix. Is our own reality even real? Or could we unplug from that too somehow? Okay, obviously getting into conspiracy territory there, but still, it makes me wonder. I also wonder about our significance in the grand scheme of things, as the poem describes us as important to the universe. And I can't help but think, how? How are we important as a little civilization on a little rock floating through space? Does the universe gain something from us being here? I'd like to think so, although I guess I'll never know for certain. But it makes me feel like the world is looking out for us in some way, and maybe is even deeply fascinated with us. Like when we crouch down in the grass and stare at a colony of ants marching past us, completely ignoring our colossal presence. Maybe it's something like that. And maybe the universe would never want to tell us which direction to go in as we march in our own little colony, because that would be telling us how to live, and thus prevent us from living. But it still wants to help, so sometimes it will nudge us a little, like a hint in a puzzle game. But still, never revealing to us the truth. It lets us dream in peace, observing from afar, waiting for us to wake up and go into the next one. Dream on, it says, little dreamer. And the game was over, and the player woke up from the dream, and the player began a new dream. Isn't it crazy how all of this, all of these words and thoughts and realizations all came from a game, from Minecraft? I said all of this and learned all of this because of Minecraft. I've always said that Minecraft is like a second home to me, a virtual world that I visit, not unlike the real world that I live in. But sometimes I momentarily leave the real world and enter my virtual one, the one that I've created all on my own, with just my two hands, and I live there for some time until I return to reality. It's not unlike a dream. Exactly as we leave reality and enter our dream worlds, we wake again and enter a new day, a new, slightly different world than the one we fell asleep with. These are all worlds, all dreams. Minecraft to me is not insignificant. And this is exactly why. Because more than a virtual space, it is a place for me to conceptualize my real reality, to organize and to understand it, to practice living and then to live in it. And from one dream to the next, from one life to another, we all travel infinitely, learning and growing, and every single one of those dreams is significant. I see the player you mean.
Love Star?
Yes. Take care. It has reached a higher level now. It can read our thoughts.
That doesn't matter. It thinks we are part of the game.
I like this player. It played well. It did not give up.
It is reading our thoughts as though they were words on a screen.
That is how it chooses to imagine many things when it is deep in the dream of a game.
Words make a wonderful interface. Very flexible, and less terrifying than staring at the reality behind the screen.
They used to hear voices before players could read. Back in the days when those who did not play called the players witches and warlocks. And players dreamed they flew through the air on sticks powered by demons.
What did this player dream?
This player dreamed of sunlight and trees, of fire and water, It dreamed it created. And it dreamed it destroyed. It dreamed it hunted and was hunted. It dreamed of shelter.
Ha! The original interface. 1,000,000 years old, and it still works. But what true structure did this player create in the reality behind the screen?
It worked, with 1,000,000 others, to sculpt a true world in the fold of the and created a for in the.
It cannot read that thought.
No, it has not yet achieved the highest level. That it must achieve in a long dream of life, not the short dream of a game.
Does it know that we love it? That the universe is kind?
Sometimes, through the noise of its thoughts, it hears the universe, yes.
But there are times that is sad in the long dream. It creates worlds that have no summer, and it shivers under a black sun, and it takes its sad creation for reality.
To cure it of sorrow would destroy it. The sorrow is part of its own private task. We cannot interfere.
Sometimes when they are deep in dreams, I want to tell them they are building true worlds in reality. Sometimes I want to tell them of their importance to the universe. Sometimes, when they have not made a true connection in a while, I want to help them to speak the word they fear.
It reads our thoughts.
Sometimes I do not care. Sometimes I wish to tell them, this world you take for truth is merely and I wish to tell them that they are they see so little of reality in their long dream.
And yet they play the game.
But it would be so easy to tell them.
Too strong for this dream. To tell them how to live is to prevent them from living.
I will not tell the player how to live.
The player is growing restless.
I will tell the player a story.
But not the truth.
No, a story that contains the truth safely, in a cage of words. Not the naked truth that can burn over any distance.
Give it a body again.
Yes, player.
Use its name.
Love Star. Player of games.
Good.
Take a breath now. Take another. Feel air in your lungs. Let your limbs return. Yes. Move your fingers. Have a body again. Under gravity. In air. Respawn in the long dream. There you are. Your body touching the universe again at every point. As though you were separate things. As though we were separate things.
Who are we? Once we were called the spirit of the mountain, Father Sun, Mother Moon, ancestral spirits, animal spirits, jinn, ghosts, the green man, then gods, demons, angels, poltergeists, aliens, extraterrestrials, leptons, quarks. The words change. We do not change.
We are the universe. We are everything you think isn't you. You are looking at us now, through your skin and your eyes. And why does the universe touch your skin and throw light on you? To see you, player, to know you, and to be known. I shall tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a player.
The player was you, Love Star.
Sometimes it thought itself human, on the thin crust of a spinning globe of molten rock. The ball of molten rock circled a ball of blazing gas that was 330,000 times more massive than it. They were so far apart that light took 8 minutes to cross the gap. The light was information from a star, and it could burn your skin from 150 million kilometers away. Sometimes the player dreamed it was a miner, on the surface of a world that was flat and infinite. The sun was a square of white. The days were short, there was so much to do, and death was a temporary inconvenience.
Sometimes the player dreamed it was lost in a story.
Sometimes the player dreamed it was other things, in other places. Sometimes these dreams were disturbing, sometimes very beautiful indeed. Sometimes the player woke from one dream into another, then woke from that into a third.
Sometimes the player dreamed it watched words on a screen.
Let's go back. The atoms of the player were scattered in the grass, in the rivers, in the air, in the ground. A woman gathered the atoms. She drank and ate and inhaled, and the woman assembled a player in her body. And the player awoke from the warm, dark world of its mother's body into the long dream. And the player was a new story, never told before, written in the letters of DNA. And the player was a new program, never run before, generated by a source code 1 billion years old. And the player was a new human, never alive before, made from nothing but milk and love.
You are the player, the story, the program, the human, made from nothing but milk and love.
Let's go further back. The 7 billion atoms of the player's body was created long before this game, in the heart of a star. So the player too is information from a star, and the player moves through a story, which is a forest of information planted by a man called Julian on a flat, infinite world created by a man called Marcus that exists inside a small, private world created by the player, who inhabits a universe created by...
Shush. Sometimes the player created a small private world that was soft and warm and simple, sometimes hard and cold and complicated. Sometimes it built a model of the universe in its head, flecks of energy moving through vast empty spaces. Sometimes it called those flecks electrons and protons.
Sometimes it called them planets and stars. Sometimes it believed it was in a universe that was made of energy, that was made of offs and ons, zeros and ones, lines of code. Sometimes it believed it was playing a game. Sometimes it believed it was reading words on a screen.
You are the player, reading words.
Shush. Sometimes the player read lines of code on a screen, decoded them into words, decoded words into meaning, decoded meaning into feelings, emotions, theories, ideas, and the player started to breathe faster and deeper and realized it was alive. It was alive! Those 1,000 deaths had not been real. The player was alive.
You are alive.
And sometimes the player believed the universe had spoken to it through the sunlight that came through the shuffling leaves of the summer trees.
And sometimes the player believed the universe had spoken to it through the light that fell from the crisp night sky of winter, where a fleck of light in the corner of the player's eye might have been a star 1,000,000 times as massive as the sun, boiling its planets to plasma in order to be visible for a moment to the player, walking home at the far side of the universe, suddenly smelling food, almost at the familiar door, about to dream again.
And sometimes the player believed the universe had spoken through it through the zeros and ones, through the electricity of the world, through the scrolling words on a screen at the end of a dream.
And the universe said, I love you.
And the universe said, you have played the game well.
And the universe said, everything you need is within you.
And the universe said, you are stronger than you know.
And the universe said, you are the daylight.
And the universe said, you are the night.
And the universe said, the darkness you fight is within you.
And the universe said, the light you seek is within you.
And the universe said, you are not alone.
And the universe said, you are not separate from every other thing.
And the universe said, you are the universe tasting itself, talking to itself, reading its own code.
And the universe said, I love you, because you are love.
And the game was over, and the player woke up from the dream. And the player began a new dream. And the player dreamed again, dreamed better. And the player was the universe. And the player was love. You are the player.